Night had grown unbearably deep. An unnatural silence lay over the city streets, as if everything around had stopped breathing. One by one, the streetlights flickered and died, plunging the road into a thick, suffocating darkness. The air grew colder with every step, a biting chill that seemed to seep right into your bones. In that darkness, a young girl walked alone. Her footsteps were fast, her breathing uneven, and fear was clearly written in her eyes. Again and again, she turned to look behind her, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. But every time, she saw nothing except an empty road, completely swallowed by shadows. She couldn't shake the feeling. It was a primal, gut-wrenching certainty that someone was following her. The sensation was like a cold hand pressed against the back of her neck. Yet whenever she stopped to listen, straining her ears in the dead silence, the only sound she heard was the ragged whisper of her own breath. Her heart thundered so violently it felt as if it would tear right through her chest. It was a drumbeat of pure terror in the silent night. Suddenly, through the gloom, she noticed an old shopping mall ahead. Its name was half erased by time and neglect, and the lights above its entrance flickered weakly, as if they were struggling to stay alive in a losing battle against the encroaching darkness. It didn't look inviting, but it was a structure, a shelter. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, a deafening crash echoed behind her. The heavy steel gate slammed shut with a final, metallic groan. Panic seized her instantly. She spun around and ran back, pushing against the cold, unmoving metal with all her strength. She banged on it with both hands, her palms stinging from the impact, screaming for help until her throat was raw. But the only answer was her own desperate voice, echoing back at her through the vast, empty mall. Then, without warning, all the lights went out. She was plunged into absolute blackness. Her breath caught in her throat. A few seconds later, they flickered back on, but the light was wrong. It was cold, sterile, and unnatural. It felt almost alive. Cautiously, she looked around. The mall was completely deserted. No people. No movement. No sound. It was a ghost town frozen in time, the colorful signs of forgotten shops now looking like tombstone markers. Then, in the distance, she heard it, a child laughing. The sound was clear and sharp, cutting through the silence like a shard of glass. Her body froze, every muscle tensed. The laughter wasn't joyful, it was hollow, eerie. It slowly twisted, the cheerful notes dissolving into a heartbroken, desolate crying. The sound seemed to come from everywhere at once. Soon after, a new noise joined the chorus of dread. The scraping sound echoed through the walls, as if something large and heavy was crawling inside them. Just out of sight, a shop shutter in front of her trembled slightly, rattling in its frame. An elevator at the far end of the hall began moving up and down on its own, its floor indicator lighting up one number after another without ever stopping. Her fear kept growing, a cold, heavy weight in her stomach. Despite the frigid air, sweat streamed down her back, soaking her shirt. Suddenly, a whisper brushed against her ear so close, so intimate, it felt as if the voice had originated from inside her own head. It was a dry, rasping sound that promised nothing but oblivion. No one leaves this place alive. She screamed and spun around, her fists raised, ready to fight, but there was nothing there. Only empty air. The lights began to flicker violently, strobing in a chaotic, dizzying rhythm. The shadows on the floor shifted and danced unnaturally, elongating and twisting into monstrous shapes. And from inside the broken, dark shops, something began to emerge. Twisted faces started to appear in the shattered glass of the storefronts. Slowly, almost reluctantly, those faces stretched and formed into bodies. They were zombies. Their eyes were vacant, lifeless white orbs. Their skin was torn and rotting, hanging in putrid flaps from their bones. Their feet dragged against the polished floor as they moved, releasing deep, animalistic growls that rumbled through the cavernous space. The moment she truly saw them, a blood-curdling scream tore from her throat, a raw sound of pure, undiluted terror. At the sound of her scream, every single zombie turned its head toward her in perfect, horrifying unison. And then, they began to move faster. Their shuffling walk became a lurching, stumbling run. She didn't think. C'est Jeanne. Ran. Her heart felt ready to explode as she sprinted toward the escalator, her lungs burning. She leapt onto the stationary steps, hoping to climb them to the next floor. But the escalator began moving on its own. It hummed to life, carrying her upward as if the mole itself was her silent accomplice, guiding her. When she reached the top of the second floor and dared to look back, she saw dozens of them following her. Their numbers kept growing, more and more shambling figures pouring out from the shops below. Their collective screams and growls echoed through the mall, a symphony of damnation shaking the very walls. Overcome with a fresh wave of terror, she realized she was trapped. The second floor was a dead end. She had to go back down. She turned and began to run down the upward-moving escalator. Suddenly, the escalator sped up, its steps moving against her at an impossible speed. Her steps faltered. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. She reached out desperately for the railing, her fingers just brushing the cold metal, but her foot slipped. With a deafening crash, her body slammed onto the hard floor at the bottom of the escalator. Her eyes remained open, staring blankly at the flickering lights above. The zombies gathered around her motionless body, their grotesque forms silhouetted for a moment before they too were consumed by the black. Then the mall sank back into its deep, unnatural darkness, as if nothing had ever happened. Only a faint, chilling whisper lingered in the dead air, a promise and a curse hanging in the void. When will the next victim arrive?